I bought this house from the city on auction. I slept outside of City Hall for a night. That's what happened in the 80s and 70s and early 90s. How you would get a house for nothing. At the time I bought the house, I had $14,000 in the bank. I knew that whatever I bought, I had to put 10% down right at that moment to walk out the door. So the auction started and hands go up. I'd never been to an auction. And it got up to $120,000, and it was. And this house, you have to realize, that there's no roof, there was nothing. It was just a shell. So that's a lot of money for a shell, because I also knew I had to build it then. So it got up to 140, and that would mean if I bought it, I walked out with not a penny to my name. But for some reason, my hand went up when I bought the house. So I'm like, oh, what do I do now? I had the house. I had this place that needed, I mean, it had been rained in on, it had been, for 20 years. It was just a mess. But I was a builder at the time, so I could just build it in time, and it was pretty harrowing, just in the nature of all projects like that are when you don't have money. A good portion of what you see are scraps from jobs, or things that were left over that I would then adapt. Certainly those bookcases were definitely scraps. Some of the jobs I've designed and worked on had a lot of really beautiful materials that I worked with, so I would bring back, this is 2-inch mahogany. And so I would have nice stuff. It wasn't all just stuff that was in the dumpster. This is the cheapest floor you can get, because it's basically red oak scraps, little pieces. That's what you do when you're building a house on the fly. This is a renovation. This is not a new building. So it's inevitably going to be a collage of sorts, or certainly I think of it that way, or an assemblage. Pretty much all of this, it's just sort of pieced together slowly. This double couch area, without question, there were many different iterations of this area. There used to be a grand piano over there. There used to be a workspace here. Architects, they photograph their work without people in the house. This sort of idea of perfection. What happens is people move in, they put their crap all over the place, and ideally you are aware that things are changing immediately, not even, over the course of time. Like over here, the desk area, I love movies, and I want to, when I get old, I want to get a truckload of opium and just watch movies. And so I've just slowly been getting all these wonderful movies. And I work here. And then there's a bed up there that nieces and nephews and everybody bounces around in. This thing used to be more in keeping with when you're young and you start building, you get a window and you have a window in here, and and you'd open and close it and the kids would stick their heads out and then they'd close it and stuff. But now the kids are older, they don't care about that, so I just got rid of it. Being unfinished, it always leaves endless possibilities. And your life changes, so you need to move on. This is originally where a wall was. My wife's study was here, and the bedroom was here, and it was tiny. And when we went our separate ways, the wall left too, and suddenly I have a nice big open flow. Here, this is a kind of take on a shoji door. It was made because I have lots of kids that come in, and if I just had paper, they would rip through it in a day. The paper is papyrus. As I became way more skilled and learned and studied architecture and just became what I became, the house became more. And it also doubles as my closet door. This door, which closes, is also the door for the closet. I don't feel the need. I want no doors. Now the bed it's very, very simple. It just sort of clicks together. You can put it together in a second, and the headboards, this is quartered ash plywood, but they're interchangeable. I'll build everything. Craft is incredibly important, but I'm the opposite of anal. I do believe in doing things fast.
I went away for a day or two, and I came back, and he said, "Oh, there's a bench. I made a bench and tables." Where? The porch.
Oh, that's great.
It's very simple. It's no big deal.
I know, but you can It's nice to be able to work with your hands too.
I think it's incredibly important. I mean, a lot of your ideas come from your hands. It doesn't all come from here or a pencil. It comes from, you just place something, you're just placing materials and just letting them fall and seeing what happens. I mean, in the old days, to get an architecture degree in Europe, you had to work on a construction site for a couple of years. But, I mean, we're a billion miles from that now. The lamps are just paper and cardboard. Couldn't be simpler or more obvious. It's rolled paper. You just cut some pieces of cardboard and you stick it in and you have a light. If I'm working on something where I can't hold things and play with things, and the material handling it's unbelievably important. I've been working with slats for my whole life, and now that you see them everywhere. Every house has slats. But I still love them. I still love slats because you can make a million manifestations of drawers and you can never tell what's what, where it opens, which, it's a very easy architectural solution to storage. I love to take things that are used outside and bring them in. So if slats can cover buildings, there's no reason why you can't make desks and furniture out of them in the same way.
What about up above there? That wood's great.
That comes from the barn that I grew up in. That's a vestige of the way I built the house originally, which was really from scraps. I don't like fancy materials at all, so everything is mostly local materials. This is red birch. It's just birch, which is not much used in furniture. This is red birch. This is cherry, the spine. And yeah, I did that when I was young. Then the kitchen, all of the drawer fronts are cypress.
And the wood is important to you, just having a lot of wood.
Oh yeah, it's by far the best material. There's nothing comes close to it.
Why?
Because it's alive, it's real, and it's if I really wanted to go off on it, I would talk about trees and how they are. Just not to mention that they give us oxygen, but I'm not so sure that they're not the highest order of life. I love wood. It still breathes and expels water. It still has a ton of oil in it that if you treat it properly, it comes out just like putting makeup on. It's the most beautiful stuff in the world. Like this thing over here, this is also red birch. And again, it's beautiful to me just because it's not a fancy material. It has lots of grainy. I love all the imperfections, and I try to work with them.
Yeah. There's something about when everything's too perfect, quote unquote, that...
Well, the Japanese talk, the wabi-sabi thing. The Japanese, The Unknown Craftsman is a very beautiful book about craft and how, they'll make something and then nick it. They'll never send it out into the world perfect. None of us are, and it's actually beautiful if it has an imperfection. It's very important. The idea of being unfinished is very important. Even to the point where I don't mind if electrical cables are flying around because I'm not exactly sure exactly what I'll do with them. And houses are there to be lived in. They're there to be personal expressions of people. Like, so many architects, when you draw on paper, when you're drawing things up, you're working with fine lines and everything is precise, insanely precise. But you know that in reality, when you get out, there's so many things that go on. You can build it perfectly. It might look nice today, but then a year later, winter, summer, fall, it's all of those things you have to be allowing for life. That's the caulk line from the old molding, but it's really pretty. I have an idea that in America, in the West, we do destroy the past too much. I love the past. And it makes you appreciate when you do come upon, you rip off the molding and it looks like that. Why isn't that as pretty as whatever you're going to cover it with? It's not done yet. Things will happen. Like this ceiling will probably eventually float out and change. I'm constantly putting lights buried into things. It's unfinished. Yeah. It's only fun if it's unfinished. So slowly but surely it becomes, this. And at a certain point, maybe I might say, You know, but it certainly hasn't happened yet.